We interrupt our program to bring you a special broadcast.
Boom! Headshot!
Hey, it's Clay. How's everybody doing? I got another Planetside 2 video for you today, and this time I wanted to stop and reflect a little bit on my experience with the beta so far, my thoughts on the game, a little bit of a review. Now, keep in mind that I am not a Planetside veteran. I never have played the original Planetside 1. I am, I played a lot of Battlefield 3, and, from a lot of the Battlefield guys who've been, playing Planetside, talking about it, it kind of got me intrigued by this game, and so I got into the beta, and I've been playing it pretty regularly as kind of my main FPS for the last couple of weeks. And so, this is one of the gameplays that I got from the other day, and they've been making a lot of changes. It's in beta, but I still think that the core gameplay mechanics are definitely set in place to the point where I can give a little bit of a review, some of my thoughts and reflections on the game. So let's go ahead and get right into it. I'm actually going to go ahead and start off with my two greatest concerns. The two things about this game that I think are drawbacks/negatives. And I'm going to go ahead and list them. The first one is finding action, and the second one is team killing. Those two things are probably the greatest hindrances to my enjoyment, or the biggest things that I get frustrated about when I play Planetside 2. Now let's go ahead and flip that. Now, what are this game's greatest strengths? Well, number one, it's incredibly deep. There's a ton of depth, there's a ton of strategy, there's a ton of, there's just so much to learn and discover and unlock. And, if you're a guy who really likes to get in deep into a game, Planetside 2 is going to be awesome for you. You've got each of the three different races. They each kind of have their own personality. The people in each race kind of has different personalities, which I think is really cool. And they kind of build up the lore within each race. So there's a ton of depth to the experience, which I think is really cool. And I don't know if I've ever experienced a game where they have that before. Like in Battlefield, you have the opportunity to play as the Russians or the Americans, but they don't ever really you don't really get that choice as much, and it doesn't really matter, because in the end you can get all the same guns anyways, and they don't really have any lore surrounding each one, so there's really no reason. But in Planetside 2, they have these really cool backstories and information about each race and kind of the personalities that each one takes on. Obviously, you've got the monumental, huge MMO scale gameplay, which I think is Planetside 2's greatest strength. These servers, I think, are capable of supporting upwards of 1,000-ish players, which is just mind-blowing. Even if you just have a couple of hundred people, every once in a while I'll be getting, so like right now I'm in this battle, and, every once in a while I'll kind of turn a corner, and there'll be like 30 guys in a certain area, or just like a flood of enemies. Like, look over in the distance, like I can see like 10 guys at least just kind of running across the field over there in this base. I mean, it's just absurd how many players are in this game. So you get battles that are kind of at this epic scale that is really cool. And also it's a really good shooter. It feels really good. The guns feel really good. There's a lot of unlocks. There's a lot of progressions. So if you like, in Call of Duty and Battlefield, where you have these, you unlock different perks, attachments, weapons, all that stuff. If you like that, this game has a lot to offer in that regard. You can see right now I'm taking a look at my, I'm trying to unlock a scope for this new assault rifle that I just unlocked. This game has a lot to offer in that regard, so it's going to be really cool if you like that kind of stuff. Now, I kind of want to return to my, what I was talking about with finding action and team killing, because I think that is something that can be addressed/fixed, if that makes sense. I think that the Planetside 2 team can do things to kind of help that out. Now, let's start off with finding action. Now, this game has, because it's so epic and because it is on such a large scale, the maps, I believe there are 3 different continents is how they're referred to, and they each have, they're huge, they're absolutely massive, and they have so much surface area that, if you just want to like run around from area to area, it will literally take you like, I don't even know how long it would take you to run from one corner of the map to the other. Probably like a half an hour of just straight running. I mean, they're just absurdly large. So, you definitely rely on vehicles for transportation, and you have to be smart about where you go, because, I think I put it this way. I probably spend 75% of my time trying to find action, and I spend 25% of my time in those really epic big battles that we all kind of know about and anticipate with this game. And that ratio really isn't that good. I mean, think about Battlefield 3. How much time, even on the biggest of maps, how much time do you go in between, quote-unquote battles? Or, how much time do you go between firefights? It's not that long. You don't have to really work very hard to find action, especially as you kind of get familiar with the game. But in Planetside 2, just the nature of troop movement, I mean, you can go an extended period of time without really ever shooting a bullet at another enemy player. But then that's kind of, if you turn it on its head, when you get in those big battles, they are unlike anything else that you've ever experienced in a game. So the biggest thing that I'm hoping that the developers can continue to encourage, and also something that I'm sure will come with time and experience, is just reducing the amount of time where I'm trying to find big battles and spending more time actually in the big battles. I think that's probably my biggest thought / concern on this game is there's a lot of down or dead time where I'm riding around on a flash, a little ATV vehicle trying to find big battles like I'm in currently. Now, I think part of that is this game is different. It's definitely designed different. It's not, I mean, it's just flat out not meant to be a Call of Duty style high action type of game. It's just its nature. It's not meant to be that way, especially the way that the spawn systems work, with the Sunderers and the capture points that your squad has been to. The spawn system is very limited. And so, one of the biggest, things in the game is controlling spawns, getting spawns close to the enemy bases, and, reducing the amount of spawns that the enemy team has. That's a huge tactical and strategic element in this game, which is one of the things that adds so much depth, which I talked about earlier. But on the flip side, it can make things a little bit more tricky in terms of finding action. It can make the gameplay feel a little bit slower, just because you have to work a little bit more in order to find spawns. Now let's talk about team killing. This is probably, I'm trying to understand how much of this is just a personal preference, because I've always hated friendly fire in every first-person shooter I've ever played. Now, and I know that Planetside 2 is, it's trying to be a little bit more on the epic, big, large-scale, real, in all those type of things is what they're going for. And so, for having friendly fire on, it's kind of something that fits in that mold. So I get it. I really do. I understand it. But personally, every time I get killed, and and one of the things about this game is they make it kind of easy for you to get team killed. I mean, because you have so many players, a lot of times if you get, if you're watching a choke point, or if you're watching kind of a enemy team coming out of a spawn or something like that, I mean, it's really easy for, another member of your team to get in your crosshairs while you're trying to shoot at somebody else. I mean, it just happens. And it's pretty aggravating when you get killed by somebody else. Or I think what happens even more is, I mean, I get run over by friendly vehicles so frequently. I mean, it happens all the time. Like right here. I think right here, I just got ran over by somebody who spawned us under. That is so perfect that it's timed out right there. It was foolish of me to run over that track. I get it, because that's where a vehicle spawns. But at the same time, like, come on, it's just really obnoxious. It's just really annoying to get run over by a friendly vehicle because somebody wasn't really watching where you're at, or you weren't really watching where you're at. It is just frustrating. There's no way around it. It's frustrating when you get run over by a vehicle. So personally, I would like to see team killing removed, or just just kind of polishing up some of that mechanic a little bit to make it a little bit less aggravating. But it's kind of a minor point. And the last thing that I really want to talk about is the learning curve, because Planetside 2 has a higher learning curve. Little things like capturing bases. It's not as intuitive as you might think, because a lot of times, there's a lot of variety in bases. In terms of bases, there's a lot of variety in how the different bases work, which is really cool. I think that again, I mentioned earlier that one of its strengths is its depth. Well, on the flip side is when you have a game that is very deep, it makes it difficult for newer players to get into it, because the learning curve is going to be a lot higher. And just little things like, so this base right here, there are, these little control rooms that I'm in right now that provide kind of these outlying spawn areas. But then you've also got, like, gate gates that prevent your friendly vehicles from entering the area. So you have generators and you want to blow them up, or you might have some bases you have to take these gigantic launch pads and launch up into the air and capture, because the capture point is actually 10 stories up high. All these little things, it's really can be really tricky to learn the game and to understand what's going on. It's just not easy. And so I think that this is one of the things that it's obviously in beta, so it has not been released. I would very much anticipate that the developers would have some sort of beginner's tutorial or some way of getting newer players caught up to speed, to teach them how to capture bases, to teach them how the spawns work, and little things like, how does the sunderer work? What kind of attachments do you want on your sunderer to help make it really effective? There's all these little tidbits, little pieces of information that really make a big difference. I will say, if you are a newer player, if you're new to Planetside, you've never really played it before, give it a shot, because it is a really fun game, and I think that there's so much depth to it, and there's so much to discover, and it's got a lot to offer, just because the battles are so large and so epic, and there is so much depth and variety. Give it a shot. Try to learn it, because I think it's very much worthwhile. I'm loving it. I actually, paid the money to get in the Alpha Squad, because I've already, enjoyed what I've seen so much, to the point where I really think that this is going to be a game that I'm going to like. It is free to play, so for those of you who don't understand, the free to play model is based on microtransactions. So it's, as the name suggests, you can download and play the game for free. But then there's a progression system. So with each class, I'm playing right now the medic on the new conglomerate, and there are like 2 other rifles, and there's a whole bunch of different unlocks for each rifle. And that takes time, it takes effort, it takes kills, it takes captures to get unlocks. And basically you can pay to go through that progress faster, if that makes sense. So instead of having to get 100 kills or whatever, 100 certifications to get a new gun, you can actually pay $5, and then you can just get it right away. So basically it's just pay to progress faster, which I think is probably the best way that the free-to-play model can be implemented. I have not seen any suggestion of pay to win, where by paying money you actually get a legitimate advantage that cannot be attained otherwise if you just play the game a lot. And also my experience with free-to-play models is that each one can vary a little bit based on how long it takes you to get through the progression. Think about a game like Call of Duty, how long it takes you to prestige. Or in Battlefield, how long it takes you to get all of the weapons. Not to get to, Colonel 100, but to get all the weapons unlocked. That takes a significant amount of time, but I wouldn't say it's long. I wouldn't say that it's, something you really have to grind for a long time. But I've played some free-to-play games where it feels like it can take a really long time to actually get through everything. So we'll see. We'll see how the developers decide to pace the game. Because you don't want to make it too short. You want to give people an incentive to actually pay. But at the same time, you don't want to make it just so discouraging that if you decide to go free, then it's really frustrating. So, I'm going to go ahead and cut things off here. I'm really enjoying this game. I really want to stress that I think this game has a ton of potential. It's in beta for a couple more days, couple more weeks, and then it'll be released. It'll be free to play. If you guys have a good system, or even like a moderate level system, I think that you can definitely run it on medium or lower settings. Give it a shot. Try to learn the game. Try to get through the learning curve, because when you get in those big battles, and like right now, look at how many we're in through like 7 tanks, and we're trying to get up this hill, and look at all the red dots, tanks and vehicles and planes that have been spotted. As we try to scale this base, it's just so sweet. It has a lot of objective play to offer. You can play as a team. You can join these big platoons and squads, and you can serve as, there's so many different roles. You can be the healer. You can be the ammo guy. You can be the anti-vehicle guy. You can be, the person who provides sunderers so your teammates can spawn. There's so much depth to the game that I think that it really has a lot to offer. So I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited to get into the full release and really get my hands on this game. The development team has been really cool. Even just little things like they're making changes. The servers are actually down right now because they're implementing a number of big changes. They're changing, I think, the way that bases are captured. And that's a pretty big change in terms of a core game mechanic. So I'm really excited to see how things move forward. I'm really excited to see the direction that this game goes in. To get some of the because so far we're in beta, so the servers I don't think have been really at full capacity, and so I'm really excited to see a full capacity server at prime time where you've just got, look at all this action in front of me. There's all these tanks firing at each other. There's all these infantry players just flooding up this hill. There's guys on top of the hill trying to defend it. And some of the best battles are actually in the very center of the map where you've got 3 different races colliding and all vying for the same territory, and you never know if you're shooting a Terran guy or a Vanu guy or a new conglomerate guy. There's just so much going on. Like I said, it makes for some really unique and fun experiences in game that you just don't get anywhere else. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm definitely going to be posting more Planetside 2 stuff. I'm probably going to focus more on tutorials for beginners. Little things like how do the Sunderers work, how do spawns work, how do how do you capture bases, how do you play the objective, all those little things to kind of help the new players get acquainted. But I'm also going to be posting, depending on how sweet this game is, I'm going to be posting a lot of it because I'm really excited about it. And I'm hoping that this kind of can be a mainstay FPS. I've got a lot of faith in it. I've got a lot of hope in it because I think it could be really sweet. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this off. I could probably talk about this game all day, but I don't want to make this too long. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you got any questions or comments about Planetside 2, I'd love to hear your thoughts or your curiosities. If you'd like to see more, also, please leave a rating, give it a thumbs up. If you hate Planetside 2, give it a thumbs down. I'd love to get some metrics to know where you guys stand. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you've appreciated some of my thoughts on Planetside 2, and I will see you soon.